This episode of Rethink Fit and Grow podcast has been brought to you by Rethink Fit. Set your goals, choose your adventure, join the conversation, impact the world. It's time to Rethink Fit. Hello, and thank you for joining us for this conversation. This is the Rethink Fit and Grow podcast, and I'm your host, Dela. This is a platform where we bring you the stories behind the transformation of real-life superheroes, people who have not only walked the walk, they talk the talk of what it's like and what it means to rethink fit. It is absolutely my pleasure to bring you tonight on the podcast the super couple who founded Rethink Fit and who are doing all they can to reshape our mindset about fitness. Please help me welcome on the show Jeffrey, Kippel, and Mindy Blackstien. Hello, you guys.
Hello.
Hi.
It's so nice to have you.
Thank you. That was an awesome intro. That was awesome.
Did you like the applause?
Loved it all.
Yeah, loved it all. We're both like listening and going, wow, like you're saying like the words we've been saying. It was awesome. Good job.
I think we were actually in awe.
Amazing. What was your favorite part?
I think I liked how the music came on. I liked how the applause came on, but I liked more the words that you said I think are words that inspire people, and people are looking for a reason to be inspired.
If there's any time at all that we need inspiration in this world, is now, more than ever. Do you agree?
Absolutely. You know, people have a choice, and when stresses or things outside their control are happening, they either have a choice of getting angry or getting inspired. And right? Yeah, and if we can help tip the point to help people see that if they let go, even just for a moment, they could get inspired, and that could take them down a completely different trajectory.
And that's how we impact the world and each other.
Absolutely.
Nothing, in my opinion, can inspire others more than stories. Real life stories are real life stories, authentic, pure, and just the way they happened. And so you guys have a story, and I would love to hear your story. Why did you start this movement? Because this is truly a movement, and it's changing and it's transforming as we speak. And you are taking the world, and it's going to bring so much impact. But I really want to know where you got started. What happened? Why, Jeffrey? Why did you start this journey in the first place?
Great question. You know, it started, you know, back in the late 90s. And I was away from working out. I was away from the gym, and I felt compelled to start to go back. And, you know, I had worked out, you know, in my early teens, and then in my early 20s, I was just inspired to go back. I lost that inkling to be in the gym and be working out. And one day when I was at the gym, I had this voice echo in my head, or that's the best way I could explain it, that said, you're going to be the biggest name in bodybuilding. And I had no idea what that meant. I had no idea what that was supposed to do, but I felt like this purpose and calling, and I just took the steps and allowed myself to be guided on the pathways to be able to put that into motion. Fast forwarding through, to the point where we started this, was Mindy and I had come together and realized that there needed to be a platform and an opportunity for naturally trained athletes to be able to step up on a competition stage and showcase their transformation and what they've accomplished. That was an even playing field. At the time back in that period, steroids was so prevalent, and so much of what people saw in fitness or in bodybuilding in particular was so associated to the use of taking drugs. So we wanted to provide an opportunity for people to do it in a natural and clean fashion. And that's where this movement started to take shape. It was, here's an opportunity, let's provide that. But what we realized, and we did that. I'm sorry, we did that, and we did it really, really well. We had events around the world, television shows, magazines, online communities. We had all these things that were projecting this image of what it meant to be fit. And at that time, our entry to that was through the body. So it was represented based on the outward appearance of the body. And we just started to realize that there's so much more to it that needs to be expressed. And that made us, again, realize that we have to rethink on that whole concept. We started to shape that through, right, Mindy? We started that movement of Body Proud to start to introduce it. And that was something really powerful. Mindy, do you want to expand on that a little bit?
At some point, you looked at this journey of fitness and you decided that it's more than just looks, and it's more than just beauty and the outside. And you thought it's important to go deeper, and you started looking at whole health. What caused that, Mindy?
What caused that was that we discovered that what we had thought that we were enabling, like what our intention was to enable, we realized that we weren't doing it right, or it wasn't the right thing that we thought. So where we thought that we were providing people a platform and kind of an incentive to transform themselves and their body and turn into that superhero, it turned out that it was more of an outward appearance rather than them actually stepping into their power, with self-love and confidence and happiness and taking healthful measures and, looking after themselves in that way. And it was much more just about how they could present and look on stage. And in doing that, many shortcuts were taken, and also many people, their mindset was attached to that outward appearance, which caused a mental health issue in a lot of people. Some people had eating disorders. Some people were just unhappy. And we realized that it really wasn't what we wanted to enable. So upon realizing that, that's when we knew we had to make a change.
So you found out what was happening was not aligned with your true values. And
yeah.
so you decided to make that change, and you decided to inform people and to teach them about all these different ways to make them really truly fit. I can so relate to that because a lot of us, I think, go through that whole journey of oh, I just need to be looking good. Like who cares about what's happening inside my body? Who cares about what's happening inside my head, my soul, as long as I look good? And I'm sure you have so many stories about, people who thought that way. And it's, you decided to change this. This is what you've decided to do. And I love what you guys are doing. So, what took you so long?
Well,
that's a really good question.
It's a really
Actually,
good
a funny
question. You know what? It came from the realization that, like Mindy was saying, something needed to be done, something needed to be changed. And for me, it was from that standpoint of it seemed to be all just illusion. That you have these individuals that look like superheroes, that look like superstars, the epitome of what it means to be healthy and have a strong body and just be that role model or that influencer, and they didn't know all the information. That when they got onto that stage, in most cases, they were nutritionally depleted. They were emotionally drained. They were mentally exhausted. And it was to realize, okay, something has to be changed with that. And the universe was throwing us signs. And those signs were that we need to change a direction. But we started to move towards changing that direction. But we had hundreds of events. We had all these different things. So it took us almost 3 years to wind down that machine. But we realized that in order for a change to happen, we had to change. So the universe threw us sign after sign, and one was like this incredibly huge speed bump that made us go full stop. And when we went full stop, it was, okay, you know what? In order for us to change things, let's start with ourselves. So we spent years getting coached and mentored and studying and working with people at the top of their fields in everything from mindfulness to spirituality to empowerment to nutrition and wellness, to the point that we ourselves got ordained as metaphysical ministers.
Wow.
And when we got to a point and said, okay, we realize the things, we can understand it from a different level now. Okay, now we need to connect with all the right people along the way. And again, the universe threw us signs when it wasn't the right time, where we thought it was the right time. But it was finding all the right people to make that happen. And in fact, when we connected and found Brian Gangle, it was that opening that everything can change now. And the pieces to the puzzle that we've been conceptualizing and visualizing can now fall into place. So it took that time to go through that journey.
Can I dig a little deeper? You mentioned you had to come to full stop. Was there a moment of a turning point, a particular turning point? Was there a spiritual awakening, of some sort? Because I feel like I'm missing a piece here. I feel like I'm missing that little piece of the puzzle for me. That moment of transformation, the moment you said, "This is it. Universe is throwing me signs, and I'm not getting them." But this time, it's like a slap.
Yes. So the moment that came to me, there are two moments in this. The first moment that came to me was we were at a very, very low point. It was at a point where we need to stop because of circumstances that were out of our control. And I remember thinking, and I was on a phone call with my brother-in-law at the time, and he said, well, you're at a point that maybe it's time to just throw in the towel and just forget it. go and do something else. And there was that moment of thinking, yeah, I can do that. But before that thought would even play out fully in my head, that's not even a consideration. We just have to do it in a different way. And to me, that was, again, that feel that this is a mission that we started and that needs to be completed and needs to be fulfilled. And the word of quit isn't even part of the vocabulary of where it can go. And to me, when we ran what we did, we always ran with volition and with purpose and with specificity. And it was at that time of the realization of, yeah, that's to continue. We're not going to let any outside conditions interfere with the pathway that we began.
And on my end...
go ahead. I was going to say, what was Mindy's take on this?
On my end, it was really when I recognized how much I didn't like the award ceremony, because all the smiling faces who didn't win or get the placing that they wanted or were expecting, like, it all dropped and it turned into, like, moments of defeat, and, like, it became a self-worth thing, or, like, it just, like, was not a happy moment even for the athletes on stage. And for me, when I recognized that and actually recognized that this wasn't right, then I had a vision of what to do to make it right. And for me, that was, like, my pivot point, that I wanted to cater everything towards that.
Was there at any moment of time was there any push and pull from either one of you, like one wanted to quit and the other one wanted to keep going, or were you always on the same page?
Mindy held the vision and held it clear, and I kept that, but I would be, as we were going through this period of, I'll call it research and development, there were a lot of shiny red cars along the way that may have taken us on side routes instead of straight pathways, or tempted me, through the time periods of seeing it, going in, still moving forward, but taking little shortcuts along the way that and actually are much more longer cuts than shortcuts.
Did she wheel you in then all the time? Like, get back here, Jeffrey, we have a mission.
Yes. Every time.
I'm so glad she did.
Yeah, she always kept, the vision of, we have to look at the big picture. Yeah.
Because, sometimes people would look at you and say, oh, look at those two. I mean, they got here overnight. Look at them with their big community and their successes. And they think you got here quick. And what they don't see is all the years of falling and getting up and dusting yourself off and keep going, and the sleepless nights. Is this true for you?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That journey, I think when it's something that has an ability to impact a lot of people, there's a journey to go through to be able to get there, and to have an understanding of the ways that people might feel and the things that people might be experiencing, so that we can guide it in a different way. I'm not saying that everyone needs to go through a period of getting to a point of being at a low point to build themselves back up, but it changes your perception and your model of the world in how you can deal in a different fashion, I think.
Mindy?
I think that it wasn't a quick journey. It was like a really, like, strenuous journey. Along the way, we had to learn what was needed, and we had to take action to fulfill those needs. So along the way, I learned how to do create websites, learned HTML way back then. I learned graphic design, and these were things that we had to immerse ourselves in. So just to be able to do a poster, I would have to figure out how to do that. So it was a study, but I would have to cram that in because the poster, had to be out as soon as possible. So it was we both there were so many sleepless nights, and we had events back to back and some the same weekend. So there was so much that we were doing all at once, because at the beginning, especially, it was just us figuring things out. And where I saw Jeff was lacking, that's where I would step in and take that spot. And the same thing on my end.
Wow. What I want to ask you is this movement is exploding. I mean, the way I see it, there's no limit to this, to how impactful this is going to get, to how big this is going to get. Was this a part of your vision, Jeff, when you thought, I'm going to be the most famous back in your 20s?
Yeah. And, it was that vision that when we look at it now, and Mindy and I have talked about that, it was to be the biggest name in body building. When you separate those two words, it's really building the body, but the body is made up of the body, the mind, the heart, and the spirit. And inside and out, head to toe, mind to heart. So it's re-looking at what I thought as a vision at that time. And at that time, my model of the world would have interpreted as bodybuilding. And we rose to the top in that industry. And now that we're realizing it's not bodybuilding as that sport or that one activity, it's about helping people realize how they can build their body. And if this movement becomes that biggest name on a worldwide basis, then we would have accomplished what we wanted to do, which is to get people to rethink what that means to build your body.
So, Mindy, I want to ask you, if someone has no idea, they have no clue about Rethink Fit, what words would you use to very simply explain what Rethink Fit organization is all about?
I would say it's about providing platforms and pathways for people to help themselves and each other and their own communities to love better, to take action steps to love better, how they think, feel, act, look, aspire, achieve, and dream.
And I can't imagine anyone not wanting to join an organization like this, to be a part of this community.
Awesome.
Yeah. We're going to take a short break, you guys, and we're going to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. This episode of Rethink Fit and Grow podcast has been brought to you by Rethink Fit. Set your goals, choose your adventure, join the conversation, impact the world. It's time to Rethink Fit. And we're back with Jeffrey and Mindy, the masterminds behind this fantastic movement that is called Rethink Fit. And so I want to ask you guys, where you see the future of Rethink Fit in, let's say, the next 5 years. Jeffrey?
One of the goals of this mission is really to unite all these different tribes and all these different worlds together. The fitness and the wellness and the empowerment and the incubators of change and the freedom fighters and the artists and the musicians and the media and whatever else fits within these different containers, so that collectively we can reach our goal. And our goal is to reach 100 million people. 100 million people. But the way to do that is by all of us joining together. I believe that we can achieve that in a much quicker time period. So when we're looking to 5 years out, I see that we would have already accomplished that vision, and that goal is now in implementation of change happening when we have that audience.
Cool. You know what they say, you overestimate your accomplishments in 1 year and you underestimate your accomplishments in 5 years. So I believe you.
Thank you.
So Mindy, what about you? What's your vision for Rethink Fit? How far is it going? Where is it going?
I think that it's going to people who are ready to rethink fit. I think it's going to people of any age, of any start point, facing any obstacle, that it's really for anyone and everyone. And I think that it can be spread, or it does get spread widely by word of mouth and by people having transformations and new ahas and things that they're proud of, that they want to share, and that people are actually celebrating with them and using that as their own inspiration to start their own journey and take new action steps.
Good.
Extra.
I think she needs an applause. So
thank you.
I think of this as a way for, let's say, someone with a beautiful body, let's say a bodybuilder or a model. The general perception would have been in the past, oh, that's all you see is the body, is the outside, it's the physique, and maybe the general perception would have been, okay, that's all that person is all about. So what I'm thinking is this bodybuilder with this beautiful physique who's also knowledgeable about health, who also knows about spirituality, who has a big heart and a big soul, and is all about inspiring and giving service to the world, and that's my vision of what your company is all about. That's what you're creating. That's what you're inspiring. Am I on the right track?
Perfectly.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. Oof. I think you're going to make this world a most beautiful place for all of us. I want to thank you guys for everything you've done so far, for everything you're doing, for your vision, for the sleepless nights, for all the times you fell and got up. And I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of this movement. This is very, very special to me. I want to give you a couple of more minutes, Jeffrey, to finish us off, and then we'll go to Mindy and we'll give her another couple of minutes.
Sounds perfect.
Go ahead, Jeffrey.
I just lost my train of thought. We were suggested a slogan, and we were presented with a slogan for what this whole Rethink Fit Corporation, what this whole movement is all about. And Brian Gangle actually presented this to us, and he said, let's make the slogan LMIH. Let's make it happen. So that we move out of the role that so many people fall into, which is just talking about the change, talking about the talk about the talk about the talk to make the change happen. We're doing it. And we're doing it at a fast pace because it's needed now. Like now is that time. So from my perspective on this, and what I'd like to leave this off with is join us. This is the time for all of us to unite, because united, we have the ability to spread a message that is designed to do one key thing: for people to be happy. And we can do that together. So let's make it happen.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Jeffrey. Let's make it happen. LMIH. Let's make it happen. Yes, and together we can do this. Thank you, Jeffrey. Mindy,
You're
please.
Well, what Jeff said was amazing. So what I'm going to say is thank you. Thank you so much for spreading this message. Thank you so much for having us on your show. And thank you for
on your
being
show.
a part of this. Thank you so much for being the hostess with the mostest.
Thank you. This is awesome.
And I'm just incredibly appreciative and excited that, this is in motion now. And I'm really excited to see who else is going to join us.
Amazing. Actually, I have one more question. How can we
Go for it.
How can we be a part of the solution? All of us, the rest of us who, the people who listen to this podcast, who are going to hear this, how can we be a part of the solution?
The first step, head over to our website. Our website is rethinkfit.social. This is a social initiative. It's for all of us to come together. So rethinkfit.social. You can find information there about what the movement is all about. And there's a little button at the top right that says newsletter. Join the newsletter. That puts you into the conversation. That keeps you updated with what's going on. That allows you to support what this movement is about and to connect in so we can all spread the message together.
And if somebody wants to raise up and be a voice and be a leader, then they should connect with us directly.
We're available.
Go ahead.
We can be found on all social platforms. So not all. We can be found on the main stuff. You're right.
On the ones that count.
We can. The ones where just reach out, connect with us. Best thing is go to the website and join the newsletter, because that will allow an opportunity to have a direct line in to connect with us, to see what's going on, and see the ways that everyone has that ability to share their message, to share their passion project, to share their humanitarian mission, and to share what they're all about. And if people want to reach us directly, they can. Our email, we're available anytime. It's founders@rethinkfit.social.
Great, you guys. Great. As Brian Gangle says, nobody gets left behind. I think That's what he says. So
yes, and it's a guiding principle for what this is all about.
It's for anyone.
Yeah, everyone has a story and an ability to inspire others and be able to expand their knowledge and connect with something that will help really shift things. Our goal is to shift that social consciousness. And it can only happen if we collectively come together and join our tribes as one and spread that message.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the time. Thank you for sharing your story with me today. And I am so looking forward to our adventure together. Thank you.
Us too.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here tonight. And for everyone who's joined us on this conversation, I want to thank you for your time. Please share this podcast with others to spread the message of inspiration and happiness that these guys are bringing to the world. My name is Dela, and I'm your host. Have a great night, everybody. This episode of Rethink Fit and Grow podcast has been brought to you by Rethink Fit. Set your goals, choose your adventure, join the conversation, impact the world. It's time to rethink fit.